I'd like to introduce you to Alastair McEwin. What motivated you to get involved in your very important role now as Australia's Disability Discrimination Commissioner?
Well, as a person with a disability, every day I individually face challenges. So for me, there are barriers because I'm a deaf person, and that's made me motivated to ensure that we live in a world where we don't need to live with frustrations every day. So that's the motivation, to ensure that the world can change and enhance the ways in which deaf people and people with disabilities can access the world. Also, when I was 14, I remember very clearly when I was at school, I was being taught about ancient history. And I was reading about ancient Greece. And when I was reading, I was very shocked to find that when a baby was born with a physical disability, they were left to die. And I remember feeling, if I was in their place, what would that be like? I would have missed many opportunities in life that were valuable. So that's stuck in my mind, and that's given me the motivation to ensure that I advocate, and I have become an advocate for people with disabilities.
And in your role, you're very much an agent of change. What do you think is really important that we still need to change? We're making some good progress, but there's still a lot to do. What do you see as some of the priorities?
Well, for me, change is about a collective to ensure that we all understand each other and why we need change. Being part of that conversation to see how we can advocate and see change occur. We need to talk about it and agree on it so that we can then advocate for it. And really, we need to have that collective effort to increase the awareness. I see people who need more knowledge. They need to know how change can occur and what their rights are. And when you know your rights particularly, then you can advocate for them.
So Alastair, you would see some examples of really good practice and some really bad examples of practice. Can you share some of your insights from the good and the not so good?
And when I see that there are improvements that are needed, there are opportunities there to have a conversation with an organisation or an individual to ensure that they really understand that if they are inclusive in their practice, then that means that people with disabilities don't have to face those barriers every day and keep asking over and over again for services.
What surprises you? Do you still get pleasantly surprised the way people approach disability?
For me, I think I'm always quite surprised or shocked when I see there is a leadership. We know we need to improve this element. We know that there's the right thing to do. We need to change. We need to make sure that people with disabilities are included. And when I see the lack of leadership from government, from organisations, from senior executives and management, I can see that they know it's the right thing to do, but there's that lack of leadership and action. That surprises me, that we can't start on this journey with people with disabilities to ensure change happens without that leadership. But another area of good practice I see with organisations, small and large, is that we can include deaf people in employment opportunities. People with disabilities can be asked how they can come into employment opportunities in a lovely open way. And that makes them feel valued and ensure that they don't feel disadvantaged. And I think it's pleasing to see that when it happens, but when it happens is very rarely.